Jolly Dane. The late Christopher Hitchens, a personal hero of mine, often stated that one of the reasons why he became an American citizen was that the USA is the only Western democracy that has a separation of church and state in its very constitution. He was, however, also one of the first to notice and comment upon the paradox that religion seems to saturate everything in America. This includes, but is not limited to, the news, politics, legislation, etc. As a former cult member, you more than most, I would suspect, know that people are motivated by beliefs and ideas. Therefore, the fact that religion seemingly saturates everything, including your highest public office, does this concern you? I find it of great concern, the influence of religious belief on our leaders and politicians and the way that it has saturated the United States at the political levels. The separation of church and state was written into the Constitution, as I understand it, just as much for the protection of the churches as it was for the protection of the government. You know, the idea being that you wouldn't have a state religion, so you couldn't force religion on the people like they had been doing over in England before, pre-revolutionary days. The Founding Fathers looked at that and went, yeah, we don't want to have anything to do with that. And so they wrote this into the Constitution so that churches would be free to practice and have religious freedom. Unfortunately, this has now been twisted around where religion has become a special interest group in the United States, a very powerful one, especially in the South, in this thing we call the Bible Belt, where people think, very incorrectly, that this country was founded as a Christian nation and somehow it's, one nation under God, and that somehow the United States is the country that God is smiling upon, and all this other religious nonsense that goes along with our government. Our government is just a government. It's a structured government. It's a well put together government, but it's not a religious government. It's the exact opposite of that, and it was built to be the exact opposite of that. And there's plenty of substantiating quotes and information from the Founding Fathers that back up what I'm saying. Religion permeates people's lives from the very beginning of their life. They're raised with it. And where you have these strong religious concentrations, like the Bible Belt or other parts of the U.S., you have people who are raised with these ideas that Jesus Christ is Lord and Savior, and and is the way and the light, and all of that sort of thing, and they just don't have any other worldview, and unfortunately, they don't tolerate any other worldview, and that's the real problem with religion that I have, and with organized religion is the intolerance. So when you have political leaders who bring that intolerance with them to their elected office, well, they weren't elected to be, religious leaders. They were elected to be civic leaders, to be political leaders, and to get things done politically for the good of their state, not for the good of their church. And I think they very much blur the lines on that, and I think that that's extremely dangerous and should be, not part of any of what we're doing with our government. I was talking to somebody at the Toronto conference who was from France, Johnny Jacobson, and he was telling me that in France, it's a very secular system over there. And I said, well, do you have politicians who are religious people? And he said, well, yeah, of course we do. But it's just bad manners for a politician to go to a meeting and say, may God bless this meeting or something, or God bless us or something like that. Everybody would just look at the guy and go, dude, it'd just be bad manners to bring that into the political arena. I would very much like to foster the same kind of views here in the United States, because I think it corrupts and pollutes our political system when politicians are making decisions or are trying to cater to a select few in their constituency who have religious beliefs similar to theirs, or they've chosen to cater to those people because they think that those people are how they're going to stay in office. That whole game, I think that whole thing, it just needs to somehow be shunted out. That's my short take on that.